Good evening and welcome to the July 5th Council meeting. If you'd please stand, Councilman Walt Pocock is going to lead us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Walt. Okay. We have a proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month, July. Before we read off the proclamation, we're going to be presenting a video highlighting Chino's exceptional parks and recreational programs, as well as the staff and community services and public works who work so hard to provide the Chino community with excellent service all year long. So let's roll the video.
So many experiences and memories can be traced back to the Community Services Department. Moments that are created by our park and recreation professionals. Chino's local parks and programs are often our first experiences in nature, in a museum, and our introduction to a favorite hobby or physical activity. They are places to gather with friends and family. Spaces to celebrate life's special moments. Spots of respite and healing. Sites that connect us with essential community services and so much more. Thank you for being the reason we rise up.
And we have a proclamation this evening that reads, whereas 3 out of 4 Americans live within walking distance of a park and on average visit their local park and recreation facilities more than twice a month. 50% of households participate in an organized recreation program, and most park use is with family and friends. Parks and recreation programs are vital to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in Chino and contribute to the economic and environmental well-being of our community. Parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease and improves the mental and physical health of all citizens. Parks and recreation programs provide positive alternatives for children and youth during non-school hours to reduce crime, helping youth develop and grow into healthy, productive adults. And whereas in Chino, we're fortunate to have over 250 acres of parkland and open space, which provides opportunities for our community to celebrate the outdoors. The Chino Community Services Department has adopted the California Park and Recreation Society's Parks Make Life Better slogan and logo to promote the benefits of parks and recreation. Since 1985, July is celebrated across the nation as Park and Recreation Month, and the City of Chino urges all its residents to recognize that parks and recreation enriches the lives of its residents and visitors, as well as adding value to the community's homes and neighborhoods, making Chino a great place to live, work, and play. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emuloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim July 2022 as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Chino and urge all residents to enjoy, recognize, and help promote the benefits derived from quality programs, services, and parks, which provide something of value to everyone. And I'd like to present this to Mr. Bobby Martinez from our Community Services Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Bobby Martinez. I'm with the Community Services Commission, and I am honored to accept this. This is awesome. I'd like to thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff for this, and this is a great award. I was going over a lot of things, what I can say to recognize these individuals right here, but, you know, everybody, I'm assuming, went to the fireworks display this weekend. What a great event it was. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but talking to everybody, talking with Ted, our services manager, I believe there was like 12,000 individuals that went there. These individuals right here are the backbone of our city. This is what makes it happen. And you know, I thank each and every one of you, our Parks, Recreation, our Public Works Department, our ground crew. These individuals, when we go home, they're there. They're staying there. During the holidays, when we're enjoying all the holiday events that this city puts on, these individuals are leaving their families and they're working for us to make this a better place to live and work at. And my hat goes off to each and every one of you. I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. Our family does. We've been in Chino forever. And as you see these signs up here, you're going to see them in the various buildings. And this is for the month of July. And it's just we rise up for inclusion, resilience, public physical health, mental health, and access to play. So you will see these individuals out there. And what I would ask each of you, if you're out there and you're enjoying yourselves and you see one of these individuals, thank them, because they really deserve it. And I got to give you an applause. Thank you, guys. I know we don't have the time here, but I'd like to recognize each one of them, but we can't. But thank you guys again. Thank you, our director, Linda Reich. I know she's moved on now. Ted, Sylvia, and all of you that work here, and our grounds crew. You guys are doing a heck of a job, and we thank you.
Thank you, Bobby, and congratulations to all of you for making our city the special place that it is. Thank you. Next, we also have the June business of the month. Graphic Details Incorporated is a graphics company who has served the Chino Valley for 29 years and specializes in banners, car graphics, signs, decals, storefront graphics, and much more. Through the years, they have developed many loyal customers from the Chino Valley and are proud to be part of the community. Graphic Details Incorporated works with many nonprofit organizations in the area and offer them a 15% discount, knowing the value these organizations offer and how that savings can be used to further benefit the Chino community. Unfortunately, Graphic Details Incorporated were unable to join us this evening, but we'll be sure to get the plaque to them as a symbol of our appreciation. Similarly, the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for July 2022 was unable to be here as well. The Mayor's Home Beautification Award for this month is to, oops, I don't have her name handy. The address is 6150 Carter Court, and it's Pauline Huang. She also was unable to be with us this evening, and we'll be sure to get her certificate, her pins, and her lawn sign. We did have closed session before the council meeting started. I'd like to call upon our city attorney, Fred Galante, to give us a report out of that session.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and those in attendance. As the mayor explained, the city council met in closed session and held a discussion as to the single item listed on the closed session portion of the agenda, specifically conference with legal counsel, one item of anticipated litigation under the heading significant exposure to litigation concerning a claim by Big Ben, Inc. City council received an update to that matter provided direction, and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report out of closed session.
Thank you very much. Interim City Manager Arroyo, do we have any changes or additions to the agenda?
No, Madam Mayor, no additions or
Thank you. Next, under public announcements. As we enter July, I want to keep everyone updated with our ongoing and weekly summer programming. First, Chino Summer Nights is back after a week off for the annual Fireworks Spectacular event. This week, we'll be showing Ghostbusters Afterlife. As usual, Chino Summer Nights is every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. right here on the City Hall lawn with food and retail booths available for all attendees. Please make sure you bring a lawn chair and/or blanket, and for any questions, please call 909-334-3256 or visit www.cityofchino.org/movies. Also, this Thursday, beginning at 7 p.m., right here again at City Hall Lawn, the Kiwanis Summer Concerts on the Lawn series will feature Soto, a Latin rhythm and blues band. Food vendors will be available also. Be sure to bring a blanket or lounge chair. For any questions, please call 909-334-3256 or visit www.cityofchino.org/concerts. Additionally, starting on Monday, July 11th, we will begin our Seniors at the Square, summer concert and dinner series. Seniors at the Square will be held every Monday up until August 15th with dinner from 5 to 6 and music from 6 to 8 at Aguirre Square. Meal tickets are $4 a person. Music is free for all attendees. To kick off our first installment, live music by Paul Cavan will be performed with pizza and salad served as a light dinner. For any questions, please call 909-334-3271. And lastly, tonight we will be adjourning our meeting in memory of Jean Wood. Jean passed away at age 100 on July 8th in Chino Hills. It's suffice to say that Jean lived an extraordinary life. Jean was a first lieutenant in the Army Nurse Corps during World War II. She was assigned to a post in England to aid soldiers wounded in the European theater. During her time in this role, Jean worked tirelessly to save the lives of wounded soldiers. She worked 18 to 24 hours a day, developed ingenious ways to connect IV fluids to wounded soldiers despite being critically low on resources, and persevered through air raids and bombings. Despite all of this, after the war in the European theater had ended, Jean was already on her way to the Pacific Theater when word arrived that the war had ended. Jean arrived back into the United States on the Queen Mary in New York in 1945, where she continued her career as a registered nurse. However, her commitment to serving her fellow veterans led to a lifetime dedication to the American Legion, where she became the first and only female American Legion Post 299 commander in 1970 and 1971. Jean is survived by her daughters Judith and Janine, her sister Audrey, 2 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. As World War II moves further and further into our nation's past, we unfortunately lose the individuals of the greatest generation that committed themselves to their country and community. Their service and sacrifice are an example for us all, and we owe a debt of gratitude for the freedoms they defended and preserved. While Jean is no longer with us, we will always remember her service, strong character, and fortitude, and we are grateful that she shared her life and experiences with the Chino Valley community, and she will be very missed by by her fellow veterans. Next on the agenda is public comments. This is the time and the place for anyone in the audience to address the council on anything that is not on the agenda. Our first written request to speak is Mr. Douglas Oaten. He is from the Valley Christian Church. He's going to lead us in prayer this evening, so I invite anyone who would like to join us to please stand.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for being here tonight and address the council and all the people that are here tonight. I'd like to just give you a quote here for a minute before we start into the prayer, and hopefully this prayer would be something that would be usable not just for tonight, but into the future. When I went into leadership about 30 years ago in the church, I read this quote: "To gain knowledge, one must study, but to gain wisdom, one must observe." And that has really, really helped me over all the years. And so the book of Proverbs is all about wisdom. And so the prayer was fashioned out of the book of Proverbs, spoken by King Solomon, and has been informing leaders for thousands of years. Lord, tonight we would like to ask that these men and women who make up the council of leaders for the city of Chino have been observant to their surroundings, to the people who they serve, to the needs of the city, to keep her strong and vibrant in these ever and rapidly changing times. Lord, grant wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Then you will know what is right, just, and fair, and you will find the right way to go. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding, but on his. Do not lose sight of common sense and discernment. Hang on to them, for they will refresh you. Get wisdom, develop good judgment. Do not turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing that you can do. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you, and mark out a straight path for your feet. Without consultation and wise advice, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they are established and succeed. Lord, let your wisdom be present tonight with these council members. May all the attributes that wisdom presents to us through your holy word lead and guide the footsteps of this great city. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, next written request to speak is Cedric Ramon Merrill. Cedric?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and everybody here. I just want to say thank you. I'm quick to complain, but I just want to say thank you. I had an issue with some stop signs in my community, or the lack thereof. I sent an email. I didn't expect a call. I got a call back from the transportation manager. It hasn't been resolved yet, but I know it will be, God willing. But I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you very much for being here and having something positive to say. Thank you. Those are the only written requests to speak I have. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we will move on to the consent calendar. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled? Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion and a second for approval. It's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock, and the consent calendar passes unanimously. Next, we move on to public hearings. Item number 17 is Landscape and Streetlight Maintenance District Assessment for fiscal year 2022-23. This item is to conduct a public hearing and adopt resolution number 2022-047, directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the diagram and assessments with the county auditor, controller, recorder. I'd like to declare the public hearing open, and I'd like to ask for a staff report from Mr. Dave McAbee, our Public Works Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. The city has formed 6 landscape and streetlight maintenance assessment districts under authority of the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972 of the California Streets and Highways Code. The districts are as follows: 75-1, 75-2, 76-1, 76-2, 83-2, and 2002-1. Each year, the City Council reviews these districts and holds a public hearing to set the assessment rates. Of the 6 districts, only District 2002-1 has a consumer price index escalator that allows the city to adjust the assessment rates. For fiscal year 22-23, the CPI is 8.59%, which results in a revenue increase for District 2002-1. As listed in Exhibit 1 of the report, there are certain zones in the other 5 districts that have an increase of 5% or less because these zones have not been assessed their maximum allowable rates since they were annexed. This will help to reduce the city's subsidy amount. At the June 7th, 2022 council meeting, the City Council adopted 3 resolutions which consisted of directing staff to file the annual report, approving the engineer's report, declaring intention to order improvements for the 6 assessment districts and schedule a public hearing. A public hearing is required as part of the process to levy the annual assessments and provide the opportunity for all interested persons to comment on this matter. Therefore, staff recommends conducting the public hearing tonight, adopting Resolution 2022-047, confirming the assessments and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the diagram and assessments with the county auditor controller. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dave. Do any council members have questions? Okay, seeing none, are there any members in the public that have a question on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll call for a motion and a second for approval. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Walt? And the item passes unanimously. Item number 18, Zone Ordinance Amendment. Introduction of Ordinance number 2022-010. Proposed amendments to the Title 19 subdivisions and Title 20 zoning of the municipal code to adopt regulations regarding developments and lot splits authorized by SB 9. Amending certain regulations of accessory dwelling units that are impacted by SB 9 and revising provisions regarding the keeping of chickens in RD Zone 4.5. Staff report this evening will be provided by Nick Lagori, excuse me, our Director of Development Services. I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Nick?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This ordinance prepared for you is in response to a state law SB 9 that went into effect earlier this year. I have with us Brian Wright Bushman with Fred Galante's office, who is the architect of the city's ordinance, and so he is going to give you a rundown of the general aspects of the ordinance and how it's constructed to comply with state law.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, the item is an ordinance revising both the subdivision and zoning titles of the municipal code. It addresses 3 issues. The first is establishing objective standards related to developments and lot splits under Senate Bill 9. The second item is small adjustments to the city's current accessory dwelling unit ordinance to bring it into compliance with SB 9. And the third is an item to increase the amount of chickens that are allowed in the RD 4.5 zone. I'll note that this ordinance was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission unanimously on June 20th, and it is not subject to CEQA review due to the various ordinances or statutes that are cited in the staff report. Just as a little bit of background, SB 9 does 2 primary things. The first is that it requires cities to permit owners of single-family residential lots to split their lots in half and create 2 separate smaller parcels, even if the resulting lots are smaller than the minimum lot size otherwise allowed in the single-family zone. And new lots resulting from the SB 9 lot split may only have 2 units on them, inclusive of ADUs and JADUs. All of SB 9 only applies in the single-family zone, which in this case is RD1, RD2, and RD 4.5. State law establishes several different requirements, all of which have been incorporated into the ordinance, but it also allows the city to establish objective standards that go beyond state law so long as they are not in conflict with state law. Staff have put together several recommendations, but I would just like to highlight a few of them regarding lot splits. Primarily, I want to highlight that the ordinance would not allow flag lots and would require each parcel to have at least 40% of the frontage of the original parcel. What that means is that people who want to split their lots would essentially be required to do side-by-side splits rather than back-to-front splits. The second thing that SB 9 does is it requires the city to approve 2 primary residences on each parcel in a single-family residential zone, where previously only 1 primary residence would have been allowed. And this is in addition to ADUs and JADUs. So if someone were to build both primary units and also do a JADU and/or ADU, then they could have up to 4 dwelling units on a single-family parcel. Again, state law establishes several requirements for these, but it also allows the city to impose additional objective standards. Those standards are discussed in your staff report, but just to highlight a few, staff is proposing that those additional second dwelling units are limited in size to 800 square feet and 16 feet in height and would not be able to be built above any other unit. This is essentially as small as the city can require them. You can't require them to be smaller than 800 square feet. Also, each unit would have to have its own connection to the main line for all utilities, and the city engineer would assess each proposed development to make sure that there was adequate sewer, water, other utility capacity to serve the unit. And if there wasn't, then the project could either be denied or conditioned to make sure that it would have sufficient utility connection. Finally, in both cases, whether someone wants to do a lot split and or put a second unit on their property, the ordinance would require the city to issue what we're calling a courtesy notice to just the immediately surrounding properties to let them know that this kind of project had been applied for. These projects have to be approved at the staff level without a public hearing, so it's not that someone would be able to then come to a public hearing to protest the development necessarily, but they would at least know what was going on. So that's the overview of SB 9. ADUs, the ordinance is just being slightly amended to limit the amount of ADUs and JADUs that are allowed on a lot that results from a lot split, since those lots are limited to 2 total units. And finally, with regard to chickens in the RD 4.5 zone, the city's animal keeping ordinance currently allows up to 3 chickens on a property in the RD 4.5 zone, subject to approval of a zoning clearance, which is a staff level approval. The proposed changes would allow up to 4 chickens by right without an additional approval, and would also allow 5 to 10 chickens subject to the approval of an administrative approval, which again is a staff level approval. And tonight, staff is recommending approval, or introduction of ordinance number 2022-010 to be read by number and title only, and to waive further reading of the ordinance. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Brian. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Council member comments? Karen?
Thank you, Mayor. This is probably one of the questions I get asked the most about is the impacts of Senate Bill 9. And I think Nick, I've spent some time with you over lunch one day talking about this exact issue because I find it commonly confused with our housing cycle RENA numbers. So I happen to live in an area where there are still some half-acre parcels and lots, and I've spent a lot of time talking to people about that these are basically mandates from the state that have to be complied with. And I just wanted to touch base on that for the public as well as the viewing audience at home, that this is something that we're being told we have to do. There's been, I know this council has authored letters of opposition about some of these laws, but just trying to make sure people in the public understand that this is different from arena allocation from the Department of Housing, and that this is mandates from the state that we are lawfully required to comply with. So if there's anything else you, Nick, or anybody else wants to add, I would appreciate it, so thank you.
If I may, Mayor, just to add to that point, currently the authorization exists for interested persons to apply for these lot splits. What this ordinance really does in effect is control the process and impose some standards that the city would like to have in place to assure that it's done in an orderly process. There are some controls, as Brian explained, consistent with state law, but that provide some protections for the city in that process. But that is correct. This is mandated by state law, and it is simply an effort by the city to impose some controls on the process.
And conversely speaking, I think too, Fred, for some people that do have some of these larger parcels, if some of these ADUs are done the correct way, it does provide some nice housing for people to bring an aging family member home closer to family members or different things. I just think, I want to thank staff for putting together this ordinance to help us have what little bit of local control we have left with it, and making sure that when we do go through this process, because I know we're getting a lot of applications already for ADUs, at least I've been told that, that hopefully they'll be, nice additions to our community in those areas. So, thank you.
Can I just say
Yes.
something? And I know that the city's going to start a program for, just like Karen described, for lots that are a little bigger. They wanted to bring in, like, for example, we're eventually going to bring my wife's mother to live with us, and we're going to build an ADU in our home. But Nick, could you, have we started the program with the ADU process and some of the plans that we already have in place? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. The city has developed pre-approved accessory dwelling unit plans, 3 different floor plans and 3 different architectural styles, so it's 9 plans in total. And a property owner can come to the city and utilize those plans. They've already gone through plan check and been approved by the city, so they can literally just take those plans and give them to their contractor and get a building permit and be off and running without having to go through the expense of designing an accessory dwelling unit or doing the engineering, structural engineering, things like that, and also paying for the plan check fees. So they're very attractive designs that have been developed by an architect. And so they're hopefully will facilitate the process of property owners being able to have a range of sizes and styles that would meet the requirements of their lot. They range from a little over 400 square foot studio style to a 1-bedroom all the way up to almost a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom accessory dwelling unit. And so we encourage anybody that's interested in the public to contact our building division and inquire as to how to utilize the pre-approved plans, and we will walk them through that permitting process.
And just so they know, it is free of charge from the city, correct?
Yes, the plans are free of charge from the city. So the applicant, the property owner, can essentially skip the step of hiring a designer to do the design, paying them, and then paying the city for the plan check process. They can go straight to the building permit process.
And I have reviewed some of these plans, and they have everything laid out for your plumbing work, your electrical work. So, I mean, they're complete designs that you would get from an architect if you went out there and you actually just said, hey, I want to build an ADU, this is what I'm kind of looking for, and then they would charge you for putting all these plans together. This is something that the city is going to be providing for our residents free of charge, which I think is a great idea.
Chris?
Yeah, my question is, can the city impose can the city impose affordability requirements on units that are, built via Senate Bill 9?
That's something that's not discussed in Senate Bill 9 itself. There are provisions in state law to impose what are called, I'm trying to think of the name now, inclusionary housing ordinances, which requires a certain percentage of a development to be affordable. It's a little bit tricky to think about how that works in the context of these developments because this is a single lot and it's a single unit being built. Usually the way it's done is you'd have, a 10 or 20 or 100 unit development and maybe 10% or 20% of those units have to be affordable. So it doesn't quite fit this model. There are some cities that have considered that and have tried to make that work, but it's unclear at best whether that's allowable. And even if you do require them to be affordable, you're still required under state law to provide other compliance methods, which would include potentially payment of an in lieu fee instead of constructing an affordable unit. So again, not addressed in state law. There are some models like an inclusionary housing ordinance, but it's not a perfect fit with SB 9.
Now, some people may listen to the meeting and they may think that their next door neighbor is just going to split their lot and build 2 houses on it. There are some provisions and some rules that that they have to have in order to be able to split the lot. Can you guys explain some of the things that are necessary in order for a person to have to split their lot?
Sure. So if anyone is looking at, has the staff report in front of them, page 3 of this item explains the state requirements, but I'll go through a couple of them. So first of all, this only applies in single-family zones again. You can't, it's not allowed in certain kinds of protected properties such as protected farmland, wetlands, hazardous waste sites, earthquake fault zones, flood hazard areas, areas with protected species, areas under a conservation easement, not allowed in historic districts. Maybe more pertinently, there are size requirements, or I should say maybe percentage requirements. So you can't just carve off like one little slice of your property. At most, you can do a 60-40 split, so anywhere from a 50-50 split to a 60-40 split. And each resulting parcel has to be at least 1,200 square feet. So you can't just have like a little tiny remainder parcel on the side. Also, like we discussed, they essentially have to be side-by-side splits. You can't do a flag lot where you'd create one behind another one. You also have to sign an affidavit. The property owner has to sign an affidavit saying that they intend to live on one of the parcels for the following 3 years, starting on the date that the project is approved, which essentially means that you can't do a lot split of a vacant lot. And it's not just supposed to be someone that comes in and splits them and sells them off. It's supposed to be someone that owns the property and intends to continue to live there, and then would just split off one part of their property. The lots can only be used for residential uses. They have to have access to the right-of-way and provide public easements as necessary. The units that are created can't be used for short-term rentals.
So in other words, no Airbnb.
Yeah, you can't just do this for Airbnb.
And the property itself has to be paid off in order to split the lot, correct?
I don't know if, that's not a requirement of SB 9. It may be a requirement under the Subdivision Map Act. Fred, did you have a comment on that?
Yes, I can respond to that. Essentially, to do a lot split, a lender would have to approve to the extent there's an outstanding mortgage on the property. So the lender would have to approve it, which essentially means you'd have to pay it off, and whether it's a refinance to create loans on the separate lots or just remaining on one lot. Because a loan encompasses a legal lot, when you split it, the lender has to approve, which means you essentially have to pay it off.
Yeah, and then the last thing is, like I mentioned earlier, you can only put up to 2 total units on it. So people might be hearing that you can put 4 units on a lot. That's true in some cases, but the one very important exception is when you do a lot split, then you're limited to only 2 total units on that property.
Well, I'll tell you, this is going to change the makeup of some of our neighborhoods, I'm afraid, and some of the folks that have purposely bought half-acre properties or 1-acre properties are not going to be real happy with this. So I think we're probably going to get quite a few complaints when these units start popping up. I do have a question for current landowners that have animal keeping. There are certain restrictions for how close an animal can be housed to a unit, to a housing unit. How is this going to affect if, say, a 1-acre property, their neighbor lot splits and the house ends up closer to existing animal keeping that would normally be allowed? Is the current animal keeping going to be grandfathered in, or are they going to be required to change their way of life? You may not be able to answer that right now, but I think it's something we need to look into.
I'm able to answer it. To the extent someone creates a lot split and it is, for example, closer to an animal keeping facility, they would be grandfathered in or legal non-conforming use to be able to continue those operations forevermore unless there's some additional change that's done to the property.
Okay,
So that's-
then can we have something in our documentation that requires the person lot splitting that they acknowledge that there is not a non-conforming use next to them that is allowed to stay in perpetuity until it no longer exists. I'd like protection for those landowners.
Or is that part of the courtesy notice that you're intending to provide? Perhaps you can add that to the courtesy notice of the surrounding neighbors?
I think it needs to be more than a courtesy notice. There needs to be a legal, I think, a legal acknowledgement that they're now creating a situation that they can't complain about in the future.
But maybe we could combine the two.
Maybe.
Like a disclosure.
Yeah.
I don't see why not, that those kind of notices can be put into the system so that to the extent they're close to an animal keeping property, they have a person wishing to do a lot split would be notified.
Because I can see where that could come up very easily. Also, I think, under the guise of affordability, SB 9 was passed, saying that we have homeless people and we need more affordable homes being built, but there was nothing in the SB 9 bill that required any kind of affordability. So the intent, like you mentioned, Karen, I think was to bring family members perhaps home, elderly or whatever. But I think this is going to morph into something else. I received a complaint from a lady already whose neighbor added a unit, converted a garage, and then expanded their house also, and they're all rented out. So she now feels that she has no privacy because of the crowdedness on the lot next to her, and there isn't anything that she can do about it, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I think our neighborhoods are going to be changed. I have a question also about utility billing. When a lot split occurs, I'm assuming that the utilities will also legally be split. But when you add an ADU, is it all under one utility billing, or will those ADUs be on separate utility billings as well?
So a property owner can choose whether or not to put their ADU on a separate utility account or keep it tied to the main house. But in a lot split, because it's a separate parcel, it would have to have its own utility service.
Okay. And then addresses. An ADU would not have a separate address.
It's the property owner's option. So the property owner can request to have a separate address for an ADU, or they can leave it addressed to the main residence.
Okay, interesting. This could get complicated.
Hey, Mayor, if I can add to your point regarding the homeowners, acknowledging legally that right if they're up against a property who has animals, I think it may be worth exploring the occupant of the ADUs should probably make that same acknowledgement as well. They're the ones who are going to be living on the property, and aside from the property owner as well. Just something to explore.
It could, especially if it's an RD2 or an RD1 property, Nick. Okay, some areas to explore. Okay, I'd like to call for a motion in a second. Under protest, I might add. I closed the public hearing.
I thought that happened.
You did. So we're not going to get a motion or a second? Okay, there's a motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson oh my gosh, I will, Fred, I got it. Pocock, please vote, but I can't say what the vote is yet. Go, Fred, read the ordinance.
Thank you. I knew you wouldn't forget, Mayor. Before the council is ordinance number 2022-010, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending selected provisions of Title 19 subdivisions and Title 20 zoning of the municipal code to adopt regulations regarding developments and lot splits authorized by Senate Bill 9, amending certain regulations of accessory dwelling units that are impacted by SB 9, and revising provisions regarding the keeping of chickens in the RD 4.5 zone, PL 22-0035 zone ordinance amendment. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, and the item passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Under new business, item number 19, catalytic converter ordinance, introduction of ordinance number 2022-012, establishing regulations prohibiting the unlawful possession of catalytic converters. Staff report this evening will be by our police captain, Andy Bielen, and how sad that we have to have an ordinance for something that's already illegal.
Yes, there are some minutiae in the law that makes it difficult for the police department to arrest these offenders, and I'll explain that in my report.
Okay.
Catalytic converter thefts have become a nationwide problem. The city of Chino, we've seen a 500% increase in catalytic converter thefts from January 2021 till the end of May of 2022.
Jeez.
Over 500 catalytic converters have been stolen, with 186 stolen the first 5 months of this year. Catalytic converter thefts catalytic converters themselves contain precious metals that can be used for scrap. They also command a high resale price on the black market. They're easy to remove with a reciprocating saw. They don't have any identifying information, making it impossible to return a stolen catalytic converter to its owner. The lack of identifying information also makes it difficult for us to prosecute the criminals, because without a victim, the DA won't file charges. The Chino Police Department has dedicated significant resources to stop catalytic converter theft. We strategically deploy surveillance cameras and mobile license plate readers in high theft areas. We use human and electronic intelligence to track thieves and uncover criminal organizations that purchase stolen converters. We've recently partnered with 4 surrounding agencies in 2 counties to execute multiple simultaneous search warrants. We were able to recover over 300 stolen catalytic converters, illegal firearms, over $40,000 in ill-gotten gains, and we arrested 3 suspects who were all booked on felony charges. We've worked with the DMV investigators and surrounding agencies to conduct workplace inspections of auto shops and recovered approximately 200 stolen converters and put administrative sanctions on the offending businesses. The police department has also partnered with 6 local auto shops that provide free catalytic converter etching to our residents. We advertise this program extensively on social media because it will allow law enforcement to return stolen catalytic converters to their rightful owner and prosecute the criminals who stole them. The police department is constantly looking at innovative ways to deter and prosecute crime. And we are very appreciative of our city attorney, Fred Galante, for alerting us to a municipal code that could assist us in that effort. I'm here tonight to ask the council to adopt Resolution 22-12, which will establish Section 9.89 to the city's municipal code. The ordinance would make it a misdemeanor to possess a catalytic converter that is not attached to a vehicle unless the possessor has valid documentation or proof that they are in lawful possession of the converter. The municipal code details what is considered proof of ownership, including documents such as a bill of sale with attached photographs or verifiable documentation of transfer, and other proof that can connect the catalytic converter to the vehicle and the vehicle to the possessor. The municipal code will establish a $500 fine or up to a year in county jail for those found guilty of illegally possessing a catalytic converter. With the adoption of this municipal code, criminals will no longer be able to escape prosecution because a victim could not be identified as the owner of the stolen catalytic converter. That's the conclusion of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Andy, is that $500 per converter?
Yes, per converter.
Cool. Okay. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, council comments? Okay, we need a motion and a second for this. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Councilman Pocock. Item passes unanimously.
And if I may.
I goofed. Sorry about
Nope,
that.
it's-
Take back the vote.
Okay, before the council is ordinance number 2022-012, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, adding section 9.89 of the Chino Municipal Code, establishing regulations prohibiting the unlawful possession of catalytic converters in the city. Reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
And the item passed unanimously. Fred, thank you very much for discovering this way of helping our police department. And Andy, go get them. Gosh. Item number 20, resolution to amend existing policy related to sanitary sewer service within the sphere of influence. Adopt resolution number 2022-041, superseding resolution number 2020-60 by formalizing the city's sewer connection policy as it pertains to accessory dwelling units in the sphere of influence. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Nick Lagori.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Continuing the theme of accessory dwelling units, I'd like to propose to council tonight this resolution dealing with accessory dwelling units in the county unincorporated areas. Currently, as the council is aware, the city has a policy of proactively working with property owners within unincorporated areas of the city's sphere of influence to connect to city sewer where feasible. City policy requires that any building activity associated with a sewer connection to be consistent with the city's general plan as well as our development standards. Recent changes in state law have also changed how cities and counties permit accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, with the state's goal being to increase ADUs as a potential new source of housing. These changes require local governments to streamline the approval process of ADUs. City of Chino and the County of San Bernardino each have different development standards, however, as they apply to the construction of ADUs. Staff has been facilitating these sewer connections to residential properties in the sphere of influence, and in some instances, we found where a property owner received approval from the county for an ADU, which required a sewer service connection from the city, but the proposed ADU is not in conformance with one or more of the city's development standards. This created a potential conflict not only with our current policy, but also with state law regarding the streamlining of approval for ADUs. So in order to continue proactively addressing sewer connections in the sphere and remain consistent with state law, staff is requesting the council to modify the current sewer service connection policy to just specifically address accessory dwelling units, making clear that properties can connect to the city sewer with the development of an ADU, even if it is not completely consistent with the city's development standards. The ADU would still be required to be approved by the county. This should not have a negative impact on the quality of the built environment over time because ADUs are accessory to primary dwelling units. They're typically only between 600 and 1,200 square feet in size. And also, staff feels that the advantages of removing properties from septic systems and moving them onto sewer are greater over the long term. Therefore, staff recommends the City Council adopt Resolution 2022-041, modifying the current sewer service policy. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Nick, I have a question. If they're requesting sewer service for the ADU, are they automatically requesting sewer service for the main home on the lot as well?
Yes, because
So it would have to be both.
Yes, typically the current septic system is not sized to accommodate the wastewater flows from adding an ADU, and that's what's triggering the sewer service connection. And/or California Building Code requiring a connection to a public sanitary sewer service if there's construction within 200 feet of an existing service. And so this is another vehicle to enhance the feasibility of connections, but there are areas in the county where the sewer service, the backbone is more than 200 feet, upwards of a quarter mile or something. And so that wouldn't apply in these cases. They would typically have to expand or modify their existing septic system.
Okay, but you don't see a case where just the ADU would attach to the sewer, not the main structure as well?
Yeah, so that would be up to the county building department, but because they utilize the California building codes like we do, they'd be compelled to get everything onto the sewer system, not pick and choose.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, council comments? None, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. No ordinance. The item passes unanimously. Okay, item number 21, Public Improvement Agreement for the Yorba XC Warehouse Project on Yorba Avenue. Approve a public improvement agreement with Yorba XC LLC for the construction of public improvements located on Yorba Avenue. Our staff report this evening will be by our Assistant City Engineer, Jesus Plasencia.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. On April 19, 2021, the City of Chino Planning Commission conditionally approved PL 20-0029 to construct a 325,300 square foot industrial building on land owned by the Chino Valley Unified School District located at 13401 Yorba Avenue, which is between Chino Avenue and Schaefer Avenue. Yorba XC LLC is a developer of the project, and they entered into a long-term ground lease with the school district as part of an agreement to construct both this industrial building as well as a new two-story administrative office building at 13461 Ramona Avenue. The conditions of approval for PL 20-0029 require the developer to enter into a public improvement agreement with the city to ensure the timely completion of required public improvements along Yorba Avenue. The required public improvements include asphalt concrete overlay, street signing and striping, curb and gutter, sidewalk, curb ramps, parkway landscaping, street lights, and utility service connections. Based on the developer's current construction schedule, the required public improvements are expected to be completed by the first quarter of 2023. To guarantee the completion of the public improvements on Yorba, the developer has submitted an executed public improvement agreement along with the necessary surety bonds. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the City Council approve a public improvement agreement with Yorba XC LLC. Please note, on September 7, 2021, the City Council approved a mitigated negative declaration, a general plan amendment, and zone change for the school district property located at 13461 Ramona Avenue. As part of the City Council's approval, the developer was conditioned to contribute $440,000 to the capital improvement project budget for improvements to Yorba Avenue that are located outside of the developer's project frontage between Chino Avenue and Schaefer Avenue. The developer has already deposited the required funds with the city, thus fulfilling the obligations of this condition of approval. In addition, the city's CIP project to complete the remaining Yorba street improvements is currently anticipated to be completed prior to the second quarter of 2023, in advance of when the developer is scheduled to request their certificate of occupancy for the industrial building. The developer was also required to implement a truck route plan to ensure trucks enter the site traveling northbound on Yorba Avenue and exit the site traveling southbound on Yorba Avenue, thus helping to prevent trucks from utilizing Chino Avenue to enter or exit the project site. City staff will be coordinating with the developer to ensure the obligations of this condition of approval are fully met prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jesus. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, council comments? Well, no? Okay, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Flores. Item passes unanimously. Item number 22, adoption of Parks and Facilities Master Plan 2021-2026. Adoption of the parks, well, I just said it. Staff report this evening will be by our projects manager, Carolyn Baltzer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. In November 2019, City Council approved a contract with Pros Consulting to develop a Parks and Facility Master Plan. The previous master plan was completed in the 1980s. The purpose of the master plan was to create a clear vision, action plan, and financial strategy for the community, ensuring a balance of parks, facilities, amenities, and programs. The master plan process included meetings with city staff, community stakeholders, public outreach through workshops and pop-up events, conducting community and statistically valid surveys. There are 2 joint sessions held with City Council, and Community Services Commission. And the outcome of the process, there were several recommendations that were identified in the Parks Master Plan. The first was dedicating marketing and branding support, which has been completed in April. A staff member was hired to head up the marketing and branding for community services. The second was long-term financial sustainability, and the city had entered in May into a contract for grant writing services. The third was trail connectivity and access to parkland citywide. The fourth was partnering with the Civic Center Master Plan to re-energize the downtown area. And there are 2 community services team members that are part of the Civic Center Master Plan. Also to seek additional parkland in the northern section of the city. And staff will be scheduling a workshop with City Council to identify potential parkland to purchase and develop. And the sixth was upgrading city parks and facilities, which we are in the process of looking at currently on doing updates for our city park restrooms and our facilities. At this time, we'd like to request the City Council to adopt the Parks and Facilities Master Plan. This concludes my report, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, council comments? Karen?
Well, staff, not that I don't enjoy reading about sewer lines and ADUs and capital improvement projects, because no offense to Public Works or anybody in Development Services, but this was probably my favorite agenda item in the packet this week. This is exciting for us as a city. If you want to look at some of the plans that we have in mind for a lot of different things that are coming our way to help us improve the quality of life in our community through parks and infrastructure and facilities that are going to provide our residents and our children with a lot of nice places to go and recreate and enjoy themselves for many years. This is the report. So I just want to thank staff for all their hard work on this and the workshops, and I'm excited. I like the consultant that we picked, and I think this is all really good news for us, so thank you. That's my only comment, Mayor.
Any other comments? Carolyn, I have a question. The grant writer, is that a position that we hired, or are we contracting with an agency?
We're contracting with an agency.
Okay, how much was that? Do you recall?
$35,000.
$35,000? Are we going to be monitoring like the success of, it costs us $35,000, are they going to be able to get grants? Because I know different, of course, but we have lobbyists that we pay quite a bit of money to, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it makes any sense to have these people hired because they're not bringing in money that we think they should be.
Yes, we will be doing that, monitoring them.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Well, I'm excited to see what new parkland we acquire. We're very blessed that many, many, many years ago, decades ago, a previous city council, gosh, way back in probably the 60s, acquired a lot of parkland. Couldn't develop it for several decades, but at least they acquired the land. So now we're reaping the benefits of that because it took quite a while to develop it, but many of the parks that we have right now just sat as like Shady Grove Park. Remember, it was a railroad tie company, and they stayed in operation for many years until we could finally afford to fix up the park. But I'm excited to see us acquire more parkland, even if we can't develop it for a while, because the way building was going, it has slowed down a little bit now, but you never know. If we don't acquire the land, we'll never have the opportunity to have more parks.
That's so true.
Very detailed plan, I have to say. I was very interested to read all of the issues on their suggestion on bringing in extra funding. There's certainly some creative ideas out there on soliciting, some kind of cooperative funding mechanism. So I'll be looking forward to see how staff handles that and how well it goes. So good job, a lot of details. Okay, with that, then I would entertain a motion and a second. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. And the item passes unanimously. Okay, next, item number 23, City Manager Employment Agreement. Adopt resolution number 2022-048 and approve a city manager employment agreement with Dr. Linda Reich. Staff report this evening will be provided by our attorney, Fred Galante.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and those in attendance. Following the resignation by former city manager Matt Ballantyne, the city council commenced a recruitment process that involved establishing an ad hoc recruitment subcommittee of the city council comprising of the mayor and mayor pro tem. The ad hoc subcommittee worked with the city's consultant to advertise for the position, review interested candidate applications, and ultimately end with the full city council's interview of selected applicants. Following those interviews, the city council directed that an employment agreement be prepared with Dr. Linda Reich to serve as the city's new city manager, as reported out at the June 14, 2022 special council meeting. In accordance with the direction provided by the City Council and the ad hoc subcommittee, my office prepared the proposed agreement, which includes the following key terms. Number one, commencement date of August 8th, 2022, with an initial term of 5 years. That initial term may be extended by mutual agreement of the City Council and Dr. Reich. The salary is set at 5% above the stated salary schedule for the city's police chief, totaling $279,911. The severance pay is equal to 6 months of the city manager's salary if terminated without cause, which severance pay is effective after 12 months from the commencement date. The balance of the terms are consistent with the benefits and terms received by the former city manager, including providing for annual evaluations of the city manager's performance, the same cost of living salary adjustments as received by executive management employees of the city, and the same automobile allowance, retirement contributions, vacations, sick, management, and floating holiday leave benefits as provided to Mr. Ballantyne. These are some of the key terms of the agreement, and the draft of the agreement provided with this report on your agenda identifies all other applicable terms and has been accepted by Dr. Reich. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the agreement is ready for the city's council's consideration.
Council comments? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Flores. Item passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is mayor and council reports. Let's see, mine's going to be rather short. Thursday, June 23rd, I attended the Watermaster Board of Directors virtually. Saturday, June 25th, I attended a fundraiser for Curtis Burton, who's running for District 2 City Council seat. Tuesday, June 28th, I attended the West Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District Board of Directors. Wednesday, June 29th, I attended the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Directors workshop. Thursday, June 30th, I attended Chino DeSalter Authority Finance Committee. Friday, July 1st, I threw out the first pitch for the girls' fast pitch milk can tournament. They had about 50 teams participate this year, which is double the number from last year, so their participation is growing once again, thank goodness, because they were down to, I think, 25 teams last year. And sadly enough, I didn't get it over the plate. I hit the dirt. I failed, so I have to practice more. Saturday, July 2nd, I participated in and attended our fireworks spectacular, which once again turned out to be absolutely phenomenal. And I want to thank all of our staff who participated, did a phenomenal job in putting on an absolutely great venue, which was really, really enjoyed by many, many, many people. I hear the number was about 12,000 people that attended. Phenomenal. Especially, again, in Chino, you can get that many people together and not have any significant events happen at all. Just everybody was happy to get out and be together. And then on Monday, July 4th, I attended the Latter-day Saints flag raising and 4th of July celebration. And I think out of 38 years, I think I've only missed one of their events, and that was because we went to Lake Tahoe for 4th of July. But it's become a real tradition for Bob and I to attend this event. It's really nice to have people in kind of a small group officially honor the United States on 4th of July. It's just, the speeches are always very, very heartwarming. And as you can tell, I'm still in 4th of July mode, red, white, and blue all the way. And with that, that's the only report I have this evening. So Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
Yes, mine will be short as well. On June 22nd to June 25th, I attended the annual National Association of Latino Elected Officials event in Chicago. One of the things that they continue to highlight, and everybody seems to talk about, is the development of the Salton Sea and the mining of the lithium. And there were just a lot of meetings that took place regarding the training of the individuals, that they're going to obviously try to train people that are locally, but they're going to primarily focus on making this something that benefits all of California. So utilizing the lithium for, for batteries, for electric cars, for a number of different things, and stop importing them from other countries. So that was the big push. They also had a lot of focus on infrastructure, streets, and improvements. Overall, it was a great conference. On the 27th, I attended a meeting with the city manager when I got back. On the 29th, I had a meeting with the Police Association. On July 2nd, I attended the Chino Fireworks Spectacular. And just looking at the numbers, I mean, it looked like it was double the amount of people that were there from last year. I mean, it was a really, really great turnout. Wasn't too happy with the traffic plan. It was very, very difficult to get out. They seemed to cut everything off going into College Park. But, I mean, just the event ran very, very smooth, no issues. I didn't see any significant issues at all. Everybody seemed to go there with the intention of celebrating our independence. I think the community really, really enjoys it. I got asked several times, how much do you guys spend on this? I said, hey, listen, the money that we spend on it is for everybody to get together and enjoy being a community. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that come from out of our community, but there's also a lot of people that they see their neighbors and their friends. And I know my son was walking around, saw a lot of people that he went to school with. So, I mean, it's a great turnout. It's a great event to meet your neighbors, talk to people. Today, I attended the Civic Center Master Plan meeting, which that's also something that's exciting that's going to be coming to the city of Chino. If you haven't seen the plans, look at the plans. It looks like we kind of finalized one potential plan. I think it's going to be, once it's done, it's going to be amazing. It's going to really bring a lot of pride back into our community. I think it's something that we need to do to revitalize our downtown area. So I think it's a great step in that direction. I want to congratulate Dr. Linda Reich on your appointment to city manager. Congratulations, well deserved, and we look forward to working with you in the future. I also understand that you'll be meeting with the Preserve residents on the 14th, so I'm going to try to make that event so I can sit there and I can also support you in that. And to the mayor, you not making it to home plate, we like to refer to that as the Tom Howie.
He didn't make it either?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
But other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
I have never been compared to Tom Howie before. I've got to think about that one. Okay, Councilperson Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 25th of June, I also attended a fundraiser for Curtis Burton, who's running for Chino City Council at the Avocado House in the afternoon. On June 27th, I attended my one-on-one with the interim city manager in his office. Later that evening at 7 p.m., Mayor, I attended our Community Services Commission meeting here in the council chambers. On June 29th, I virtually attended the West End YMCA board meeting as a member of their governing board. And then on Friday, July 1st, I actually took my niece and nephew who were spending the weekend here at my house, and we went over to the carnival in the park. It was I actually thought it would be a few more rides and a few different things for staff, so I think maybe the carnival there fell a little short of what we were hoping for, our expectations. Nonetheless, my niece and nephew still had a good time. But I've already shared some of my feedback with staff on that event. Then Saturday, I attended the fireworks show at the park with the rest of the council, and we paid tribute to all of our armed forces branches, and it's a very, very nice fireworks show. And I thought people were happy to be back out in the park and enjoying themselves, and it was just a great turnout for that event. And to all of our staff, it's already been reiterated here tonight, from community services to public works to the PD and fire, everybody working together to make that event just a very, very successful community event for us. We appreciate it, as well as to our residents. I know that that's one of our premier events every year, and it was certainly well attended this year as well. Then we went on for a long weekend through July 4th. I watched in amazement, along with probably the rest of the residents last night, as the fireworks lit up the Chino skies, but as they do annually every year, while our residents were celebrating with both Safe and Sane and aerial fireworks shows throughout the city. And I attended closed session earlier with the council on the matter we referenced earlier. I just want to express my sympathy to the family members of Jeannie Wood. I was very touched by her, by the statement she made about her career and her life, Mayor, tonight. We talk about a life well lived and sacrifice and service to not just our nation, but just a great example for other young Americans to look up to. So thank you to the Wood family, and my sympathy goes out to you for your loss. As well as my congratulations to Dr. Linda Reich as our incoming city manager. Congratulations, Linda, and we're all looking forward to working with you. So that concludes my report, Mayor.
I was able to attend Jeannie Wood's 100th birthday party last year, and she was quite a lady. I mean, really sharp mentally. She lived quite a life and was very, very highly thought of. I bet. Councilman Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 22nd of June, I had a one-on-one with City Manager Anthony Arroyo. On the 28th, I attended the Homeless Task Force meeting. On the 30th of June, I attended the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce re-grand opening. And I got to say, it was a fantastic turnout, number one, and number two. Congratulations to Zeb and everyone over at the Chamber. They have been promoting this upscale Chino Valley for quite a while now, and we learned that day that they've acquired, I think it was $1.1 million, or it might have been $2.1 million, something like that, but that's pretty awesome, so congratulations to you, Zeb, and Chamber of Commerce. On that same day, I attended the Concerts on the Lawn. On the 1st of July, I attended the Senior Birthday Celebration. On the 2nd, Chino Fireworks Spectacular, and Mark, you mentioned that, there are some people who come from everywhere. I went out meeting a lot of people, and that day I ran into a family who came from Arizona. They said they lived here about 8 years ago, and they came out just specifically for this show. They don't have family or friends here in Chino anymore, so I thought that was pretty telling. And on the 4th of July, I had the opportunity to finally host something for me and my family, so that was pretty awesome. I had aunts and uncles who came over, and had my parents come over, and we celebrated an awesome 4th of July. So happy belated 4th of July to everyone out there, and that concludes my reports, Mayor. Thank you.
And you also did some interviews at the Fireworks Spectacular.
Yeah, I had a lot of interviews, have a lot of footage on that, so that was pretty fun. Just always trying to engage. Yeah.
He showed me a couple of the interviews that he did, and he said it was really surprised because he asks pretty tough questions of people. What would you do to change Chino? And I think, if I remember a quote you correctly, or at least close, Chris was really surprised because most people had nothing to say on improvements. They love the community. Right. So I think that's a great testimony to our whole community. Councilman Pocock.
Thank you. What could you say to Councilman Flores with that big smile?
That's true.
On the 30th, I attended the promotions and inductions at the police department. It was one of the largest groups they've ever had, and that was good to see. And then later on, the Chamber open house and grand opening, which, like Councilman Flores said, is very nice building inside. I like the way they remodeled it, and the program that was very nice. On the first, I attended the senior birthday party over here and with my friends and cohorts, and handed out birthday cards to the people that have new birthdays this month. And on the second, the celebration at Ayala Park, which was amazing. I didn't get to stay for the whole thing because I have to go home and take care of my dog. But the amount of people and the attitude of the people, they were just also happy, and everybody was just in a great mood. It was a nice event. And then on the 4th, I enjoyed with the family at home. And I just want to remind everybody to go to come to the concerts on Thursday night, and the movies on Friday night. Both of them are very good events right out here on the City Hall lawn. And also, congratulations, Dr. Reich. I look forward to working with you as I have for the last 20 years since you've been here. So thank you. And that's it in my report.
City Manager's report.
Nothing to report from me, Mayor, but I would like to call upon Chris Kennedy, our Economic Development Manager, to give us an update on the Franklin property.
Chris, you look like Colonel Sanders.
That's like the 4th time today. I'm changing my suit.
I didn't want to say anything, but
Good evening, Mayor Yulo and City Council. Over the past 5 years, the city has approached the Franklin Family Trust, owners of Central Plaza in Chino, and the brokerage that represents the center on numerous occasions. In 2018 and 2019, staff secured meetings with the Franklin Family Trust representative, Matt Franklin, at the ICSC Recon Conference in Nevada. Since that time, the Franklin family has had 3 different anchor tenants, 2 fitness facilities, and a grocery store that had letter of intent with the brokers, but these opportunities never entered into an agreement. Franklin has been waiting on an anchor tenant as a catalyst to revitalize the center, with plans to invest over $2 million into a renovation of both the north and west buildings of the site. A key challenge with the site is that internally, the family members that are involved with the family trust disagree on the future of the site. The younger owners wish to improve the site to create long-term wealth, while the senior members do not wish to invest in the site because they don't feel that they will be around to reap the benefits of the investment. Over the course of the last 3 years, city staff has spoken with Matt Franklin numerous times about the opportunities for the site with what the city would like to see in its future. The dialogue has prompted new ideas from the Franklin Family Trust members, including renovation of the west side building and demolition of the north side building, and the construction of 2 standalone developments on Central. Staff has also piqued Franklin's interest in considering residential dwellings on the site as part of a potential mixed-use development. Within the last 18 months, Franklin provided the city with a sample of what the development could look like with the proposed improvements. City staff met to discuss the sample plan submitted by the Franklin Center. The basic plan submitted by the Franklin Family Trust has significant merit and would comply with the current zoning code, as well as provide the services requested by our community. While attending the 2022 International Council of Shopping Centers Recon Conference in Nevada this spring, staff met with the Franklin family representative again. Franklin discussed a new plan that fits within the confines of the site, provides amenities that the city prefers, and ensures a reasonable return for the Franklin Family Trust. City staff was informed that the Franklin family will be providing a copy of the design for preliminary review to the city by mid-July. And if the city is amicable, they will seek approval from the 2 businesses and then formally submit an application to the city of Chino. Because of City Council's continued encouragement in revitalizing this underutilized location, city staff has made it a priority to ensure this project comes to fruition. We have renewed confidence in the redevelopment of the site due to the Franklin family's responsiveness and continued conversation with city staff. Thank you for your attention to this matter. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That is great news. We have just tried to do something with that center for as long as I've been on the council. Fantastic. Well, mid-July, huh? We're supposed to receive something.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well,
They've sent us some previous plans, but these ones actually have 2 hard tenants that they're very comfortable with and feel competent with, and that if we like them, then they're going to send formal agreements to those groups and see if they want to proceed with the action. So.
Fantastic, Chris. Good job. Karen?
No, great job, Chris. It's, that shopping center there, the Franken family's owned it for a long time, and we respect that. We just want it to be better for not just aesthetically looking in the community, particularly with the construction that we're doing on Central Avenue with the widening there, as well as it to be something that we enjoy having in our community long-term. So job well done, instead of just the eyesore that it's become, and the problems that come with it being so dilapidated and run down. So great job, and keep up the good work.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Fred Galante, anything this evening?
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Chief Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I have two things I'd like to share tonight. First, we're going to be partnering with the Chino Valley Fire Department to bring CERT basic training here to the city of Chino, and that's Community Emergency Response Training. So it's a 3-day training. We're going to host August 19th through 21st, where members of the community can come out and get trained on how to deal with an emergency. So we're really looking forward to that. Many communities have initiated CERT programs, and now it's our turn to move forward with that.
Can the council participate?
Sure. So it's 3 days. It's August 19th, which is Friday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., August 20th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and August 21st, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you go to our social media links, there'll be a link on there to sign up and register. And second, I'd just like to recap our fireworks enforcement that we've done over the past month. Starting with our education, we really stepped up the education this year through our social media, pushing out posts. In addition to that, we had actual 9 successful UC operations where we connected with people who were selling or trying to sell illegal fireworks, and we arrested them and took their illegal fireworks. Total of 925 pounds of illegal fireworks we seized through those operations. And then specifically on the 4th of July, we did our increased deployment. We had 57 sworn employees working, and during the 6-hour period from 6 p.m. to midnight, we wrote 33 citations. 23 of those were to Chino residents, 10 were to non-residents, and one was for a repeat offender. So altogether, our firework enforcement totaled 45 citations, with 43 of those being $1,000 cites and 2 of them being the 500. We also doubled our previous year's seizure of the amount of fireworks. We seized a total of 1,100 pounds of fireworks. And surprisingly, our calls for service were the lowest they've been in the past 5 years on the 4th of July. So that concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
That surprises me that the calls were down because, boy, in our neighborhood, it was a war zone.
Yep.
And I really thought this year with the economy the way it is, gas prices and everything that's going on, I really honestly thought that people would not buy as many illegal fireworks, but boy, you couldn't tell it. It's crazy, and I still don't understand the thrill in making things go boom.
No, and sadly, there was a tragedy in LA County with a firework on the 4th of July where somebody did lose their life.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Well, it was quite hectic, and I guess, Karen, in your neighborhood also it was crazy.
Yes.
People are just bold. I mean, aerial stuff, I don't know. I don't get it. Don't get it.
It's so commonplace, though, Mayor. I just think, Wes, I just think people, I mean, there are people who are going to call and report it, but I think a lot of people just have, they just know it's coming for that, 6 or 12-hour period of time. But it's also, there's a lot of legal fireworks leading up to the July 4th holiday, but.
Actually, in our area, it was pretty quiet before. Usually it starts 2 weeks before, and it was really, really quiet up until a little bit on the 3rd. But then, boy, yesterday, it was nuts.
Anecdotally, that's what we saw, that there wasn't as much leading up to it.
Yeah.
We did put out extra patrols, and we did make a few citations during the time leading up. But anecdotally, it was less. I think they saved it up because there wasn't as much on the marketplace out there for the 4th of July, and let it rip. But the calls for service were all calls for service, not just related to fireworks. And I think that had to do mostly with it being a Monday and people having to go to work the next
Possibly.
day.
Although even after midnight last night, they were still going. And today during the day.
They found some of the ones they hid and,
I guess
had
so.
to get rid of them.
Yeah, it was the duds in the grass, yeah. Well, thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you.
Chief Williams.
Mayor, council, good evening, staff. So it's just a segue on some of the things that Chief Simmons already commented on. So fortunately for us, because of the great enforcement that our law partners and our arson investigators on our side did, we had only 6 total fires related to fireworks this year during the day of the 4th. So that's a really, really good thing. Regarding CERT, I just want to encourage the community to come out and participate in that. It reminds me of our CPR program that we have. None of this gets done without the community involvement. We can come out, we can provide the training, but the partnership of the community, of law and fire and public works and all those other folks that are involved, it really takes a community to make these things happen. So I'd encourage any community member that wants to be involved in that, come out, see what it's about, because when those times hit us, it really starts at home and their ability to help start caring for themselves to allow us the time to get there when we're experiencing things like earthquakes or really, really large-scale incidents that, we only have our limitations by the resources that we have. And so encourage the community to come out and be involved in that. With that being said, it was really nice to see all those folks from community service come up here this evening, and it just made me reflect on our Explorers. So we had a total of about 48 hours of people that volunteered their time for the fireworks spectacular today or this last week. So I think they deserve the recognition as well. And then I'm going to end with this because we always talk about ambulances because that's really what's always on my mind day and night. For this past month, we responded to 151 incidents, transported 61 people to the hospital. Our average response times for the Chino Valley Fire District ambulances is 7 minutes and 46 seconds, well below the 9:59 requirement. So we're doing it the best that we can, and it's phenomenal. We have, with about 40.4% of all our ambulance calls requiring transport. I would like the council to know that this past Friday, the local area fire chiefs posted on-planet bids and RFP for private ambulance partnership, which will be a requirement to bid on the county ambulance. So what that means, just so I can clear it up, is that the local fire chiefs recognize our desire and the fact that we believe we can do this service much, much better. And however, the county has put their RFP that will be going up to the state. It has a requirement that you have to have provided ambulance services for a period of time. Makes sense. They don't want just somebody to come in here and then be out of here in 6 months. Right. With that being said, the local fire chiefs still have a desire to participate. We think and believe we can do it the job really well. And so at least initially, we are going to have to partner with somebody that, as this first pass through, some sort of a private company. If we can do that and be successful and win the bid, then long-term we can look at other opportunities about where that leads us, whether it's Chino Valley Fire doing their own, whether it's the service is so phenomenal that we like what we're getting at that particular point in time. Regardless of all that, the services, if we were successful in that, will be much, much better, primarily because of our ability to have common communications, understand where the resources are, have control over what resources we need in our area. So there's lots, and quite frankly, they'll be controlled by public safety. So it would be much better, even just from that standpoint. And I think that's all I have. Oh, one more thing. I did want to mention that we will be donating our 36th AED and our 354th trauma kit as part of our CPR, our Bleed Safe and Heart Safe program. And that will be taking place at F45 training in Chino Hills. I mentioned that just as a district, but again, it's all about the community coming together and supporting these programs collectively. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Great job, like always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and with that, we again are going to be adjourning in memory of Jeannie Woods. Next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, July 19th at 7:00 PM in these council chambers with closed session starting at 6 if necessary. With that, we are adjourned.